I think I'm a special one.
Fabregas, lovely ball threaded through. Costa, what a start!
Frank Lampard to win it. He's got it.
He's done it! The greatest night in the history of Chelsea Football Club.
Hello there guys, Daniel Childs back here again. Welcome back to Son of Chelsea. Let's talk Chelsea. We're going to be doing a new show today. We're going to be talking about the goalkeeper situation, the links to Kelleher from Liverpool, Robert Sanchez. We'll discuss all of that and why this problem is not going away anytime soon. And I'll explain to you why I think no matter what is said in public at the moment, it's an ongoing issue that just isn't going to go away. Then we'll talk about a slightly more, I guess, concerning, or not as serious, but I think maybe a developing story as we head into this next period of the season, which is the central midfield issue, because Romeo Lavia has had some injury worries over this international break for Belgium, and Enzo Caicedo returning late from international duty themselves, and kind of that central midfield area maybe not having as much depth as it should for Chelsea. If you're new around here, Chelsea fan, want to get the latest Chelsea content, please hit that like button, please hit that subscribe button, share this video around with friends so we can get more people involved in the community. You can support the show on Patreon as well if you want to listen to the show on the go, available on podcast platforms, all your favourites, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, etc. Let's start off with the goalkeeper situation. So I've seen reports in recent days that have linked Chelsea with Liverpool's second choice, Kelleher, a player who has played against Chelsea a couple of times. He played against Chelsea this season, but I think more notably and more heartbreakingly from my point of view, he was the goalkeeper for Chelsea's two League Cup final defeats against Liverpool. And so obviously he's been a successful player for them, even if he hasn't been the main guy. But he actually has been more of a main guy this year because Alisson has had some injury problems. So he's actually been playing quite a few games. And Chicago Dimitri, someone who I definitely suggest you go and follow. And just a quick chance to actually say right now, follow me on Blue Sky. I know a lot of people are moving over to there, rightly so. I'm not going to be really on X that much anymore. I'm still checking my DMs and stuff, but mainly now I'm interacting on Blue Sky. It kind of feels like a retro Chelsea Twitter in the sense that when it used to be more healthy and more conducive, where you connected with Chelsea fans. So if you want to go on there and follow me, it'll be on there, Son of Chelsea on Blue Sky, because I know a lot of people are going on there. But he posted on Blue Sky, Dimitri, that this is the first season that Kelleher has played more than 90 minutes. His numbers are really good, albeit probably a little unreliable at that sample size. One thing, though, that he's always had bad numbers for is claiming crosses. That might be meaningless, though, and he wants to sort of delve in a little bit more deeper. 630 minutes so far. He's 25 years old. Now, let's just say quickly here, despite recent reports linking Chelsea with Kelleher from Liverpool, Bobby Vincent, Ben Jacobs, others have all reported today no truth in those reports, and Chelsea retain full belief in Robert Sanchez. There's a couple things here. Let's start with Kelleher as kind of one that's being linked and kind of an interesting place he finds himself in his career that could make this move possible in the future, right? Because it's a very weird situation when you are the number two to an established, brilliant number one, which is what Alisson is. I know maybe he isn't quite at the heights he was several years ago, but he's still deemed a brilliant goalkeeper. He has been the established first choice under Jurgen Klopp and, will be at Liverpool for as long as he's there. And when you are the number two, you kind of are in this weird place where unless the player in this situation gets injured, you are relying on cup minutes. If you're able to go all the way in a cup competition, you gain more minutes there and you're able to gain some success there. We think years back where Carlo Cudicini went from being number one at Chelsea to number two very quickly because Petr Cech became the number one. Thibaut Courtois, we had Asmir Begovic as number two. You can go through Chelsea history and look at number twos because it's very difficult in that role because to make that jump up, especially if you're behind a first choice, it's always going to be a battle. And I do wonder if Kelleher, a player like him, looking at his career, looking at what he's done, international stage 2, I saw him for Ireland against England on Sunday, which was not a great day for him, but I don't think he had a bad game. It was just, England absolutely battered Ireland in the second half. But in terms of where, say, Emi Martinez was the number 2 at Arsenal, didn't look like he was going to turn into much as a player, then gets this incredible run after Bernd Leno, but got injured during COVID, and then moves to Aston Villa and becomes the player he is now, where he's a World Cup winner. He's established as one of the Premier League's most, respected goalkeepers. So maybe Kelleher looks at it at his age, 25, still a decent age for a goalkeeper, and could make the move somewhere. And especially when you're Chelsea, And you are in a position where the goalkeeper situation is so uncertain, so unrectified, nowhere near cemented. There is an opportunity there. Now, I understand when we look at who Chelsea have got on the books. Chelsea have got quite a lot of goalkeepers on the books. They would have to shift at least one. I think one of them would be one of their first choice or one of the ones in the main squad currently. And then, of course, you've got Mike Penders, you've got Gab Slanina on loan. So there obviously is still an idea that Chelsea could be developing those goalkeepers in the future. I still am a little bit sceptical about that because, again, all battling for one position. It's not like having a load of outfield players that could play in different roles. That bottleneck is very real. And also whether those players ever develop into the goalkeepers that can come into Chelsea and become first choice, because it's such a fragile area. It really is, and you have to get it right. And I'm firmly of the belief with this position that eventually Chelsea are going to have to bite the bullet and sign someone big. That will probably halt the development and hurt the development of the young players they've just bought. But this is the issue you've got, and this is the issue that Chelsea have created with bad recruitment in this area for a number of years that has led to this position. And in the case of Rob Sanchez, obviously, a lot of public briefing, a lot of public backing from the club for Robert Sanchez. Simon Johnson reporting about this during his international break that Sanchez has lost to Chelsea fans. Is there anything he can do to win them back? And he reports here that he has the backing of the hierarchy and head coach Enzo Maresca, who consistently sticks up for him in press conferences. There is certainly some evidence to show why. For example, stats compiled by FB Ref show that Sanchez has the second highest save percentage in the Premier League this season at 79.6%. Only Liverpool's Alisson, who we were just speaking about, who has played 5 fewer matches above him in the standings with 88%. Now, we've seen this. They've been very strong, and I don't expect the club to come out and bash one of their own players. I mean, it's just illogical to think that they would do that. They shouldn't be doing that. They're not me giving you my honest opinions about, a Chelsea player, positive or negative, and assessing their performances. They're going to back their player. I understand that. However, I think when they go and double down and talk about Sanchez in the way they have recently, where he's this young goalkeeper who's going to turn into one of the world's best, I think it's very hard for people to take that sort of analysis seriously. And the reason Chelsea fans are not with Robert Sanchez is not some freak occurrence. It's not some freakish weather event. It's not something that Chelsea fans are just being really mean to Robert Sanchez for no reason. No, the reason Chelsea fans do not trust Robert Sanchez is because Robert Sanchez has proven himself over the last year to not be a very trustworthy goalkeeper in what is quite a vital position. Even stats from this year, despite those positive stats we spoke about in terms of save percentage, he is tied with Ipswich goalkeeper Muric for making the most errors leading to goals, which is 3 this season, and has already given away 3 penalties. The stat of 2 clean sheets in 11 Premier League matches is not the best of returns, and nor is his overall figure of 7 from 32 appearances in all competitions for Chelsea. He also spoke, Simon Johnson, to Rob Green, of course, of Baku fame at Chelsea. And he says, I just think that along with the passing, if you start looking for things to do, it then adds to the scrutiny that the crowd are thinking, what is he going to do now? For me, watching him play, you can tell he always has the belief that he can affect play, that he can come for the ball, that he has a high starting position and will block off a lot of cutbacks. But if you see his starting position for the Martinelli goal and draw a line, he should be in the middle of the goal, but his positioning is way off the near post and Martinelli just hits it into the space. I mean, that was another goal where absolutely it's fair to look at the goalkeeper. And the errors leading to goals is something that is just unavoidable. I mean, it's just, you look at those numbers, those are damning numbers. And it kind of shows, the Jekyll and Hyde kind of Rob Sanchez. Jay McIntosh made this point quite fairly, is that there are parts of Sanchez's game that do kind of make you think, oh, there could be a good goalkeeper there. The problem is it's a pendulum, right? And you're not quite sure what Sanchez you're going to get game to game. Whether he is going to have a great moment in terms of saving a penalty, making a great save, or he's going to give away the goal or do something that gives you a real uphill climb in a game. And I think that is the problem. You can't have a goalkeeper like that. You can't have someone in such a vital position be so up and down, so kind of frantic. You need someone with calm control, with a good demeanour, someone who makes decisions that are correct on a number of occasions, that isn't the focal point every game. And I just feel that with Sanchez, and I know Rob Green, and I've seen this brought up, that our style of play isn't helping Rob Sanchez, which I kind of find quite comical when you think about it, because all throughout the summer, all I heard in justification of making Sanchez number 1 was because the style of play was about suiting him rather than Petrovic. So, I mean, I can't really take that much seriously, to be honest, because And also, it's not the case that suddenly Sanchez is being asked to do things that he wasn't last year. Maybe some variants, but the way Sanchez was giving the ball away under Pochettino, I mean, Pochettino wasn't dogmatic about playing short passes in and around our box. This is just a case, I think it comes down to very simple things. I think he's a flawed player, flawed decision making. I can't see that radically being transformed. And whether it's Kelleher, whether next summer it's Diogo Costa, whether it's Mike Maignan, who I love, and I think would be a great upgrade. Chelsea are going to have to sort out this issue, because the longer this goes on, the more I'll be sat here talking about it, and the more we'll all be sat here talking about it, because it's not something that you can just sweep under the rug. Unless Sanchez truly becomes the keeper Chelsea brief him to be, and those areas completely evaporate from his game, great, right? Like, wonderful if he can turn out to be that. I find it hard with what I've seen from Sanchez to think that he's going to become that player. I think it's kind of endemic, unfortunately, with his game. This is not a very young, raw player who, like Petrovic, I think, I've made this point before, I think there's more of an argument that Petrovic, given time, could become that player. I don't think that's the case with Rob Sanchez, unfortunately. I just wonder from your guys, because Jorgensen, of course, there's still such... I'm probably going to do a grading every Chelsea player so far. It's so difficult to make a judgment on Jorgensen. And will we, before Christmas, like we did with Petrovic, see Jorgensen get more chances in the first team? And would he be good enough to take over as number one? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And whether, if it's a possibility, Kelleher could be a decent addition to Chelsea in the transfer window. Before we wrap up, just some other things. Of course, we've had the international break. Mostly injury clear, except for one player. I mean, Jadon Sancho is back in training. Great news. Obviously, he wasn't going to be involved in the international break, but it's great that he's back and hopefully can find himself back in the Chelsea first team. I think the bigger question is, of course, regarding Romeo Lavia. There are concerns over his injury. He hasn't played during the international break, and reports have come out that he's kind of fearing about a hamstring problem, and he's being very hesitant. And so there's not only that as we head towards the Leicester game on Saturday at lunchtime, it's also Moises Caicedo and Enzo Fernandez. We have this problem every international break with those two players, is they return very late because they are South American players. They're players playing for Argentina, Ecuador, respectively, and they always return back late, and Chelsea have got an early kickoff at the weekend. Now, the good thing is, I guess, is that Chelsea are not playing Arsenal. They're not playing Man City. They're not playing Liverpool. They're playing Leicester, who haven't had a great start to the year. Yes, it's away from home, but it is a game you expect Chelsea to be dominant in and should be winning. So in terms of having your best team out there, I mean, it's not maybe as crucial. The big question is who comes in, because I can't believe all three of Lavia maybe out injured or maybe isn't risked for the game, Enzo and Caicedo. I can't believe all three don't feature. Usually you'll see one or two maybe drop out. I know they're being extra cautious with players this year, so maybe they will. Then you've got a real kind of conundrum, haven't you? Because who starts? Does Keane Dewsbury Hall narratively against his old club with the coach he was with at Leicester last year? I mean, narratively, it's the most obvious one. Keane Dewsbury Hall gets his first Premier League start away at Leicester in late November. Carney Chukwuemeka. Could Carney Chukwuemeka suddenly make himself known in the Chelsea first team? I think that's unlikely. Cesare Casadei has played quite a bit in the Conference League and Carabao Cup for Enzo Maresca, but again, would you be starting him in a Premier League game? I feel like because we've got a Conference League game soon after, I think Caicedo will probably start the game, and I'm sure we'll get the update from Maresca before this game. But I guess the broader question here is one that I spoke about in September, I think it was, and maybe developed over the course of the summer, and one that people are having now, is that do we need a new defensive midfielder? Now, whether we do or not, I think it is just not a great situation that we're now in a situation where you look at the strength in depth of that area, and it's not great. It was something I spoke about a few weeks ago, and we were talking about Lavia and Caicedo being an exciting first choice. But the problem you've got is when those two players aren't available or you have to rotate, the options behind them aren't as suitable, or maybe don't quite have the same quality as that pair, and what you can get athletically, on the ball, and kind of their decision making and being able to protect the defence is not quite the same. So in the transfer window, that's a problem. Chelsea, I think, have spent just a kind of a really raw guesstimate, just thinking about it in recent years. I'm talking like since Clearlake had taken over. I think Chelsea has spent close to, if not over, 300 million on new central midfielders. If you think about it, Enzo Fernandez, Moises Caicedo, Romeo Lavia, Keane Dewsbury Hall, and then you've got younger players like Andre Santos, Cesare Casadei. I feel like I'm missing Leslie Ugochukwu, and I'm probably missing someone out, but we have spent a lot in that area. And the fact that you haven't got it nailed down is not a great situation. I think for Lavia and Caicedo, they're the first two. I really hope Lavia can get over injury problems, because I really want to see him and Caicedo firmly make that midfield their own, because I think it could be a really dynamic one. I think Lavia hopefully can gain in confidence, but it's just that kind of concern, isn't it, when you don't have one of those available and you get into this period of the season right now where it is so intense. You are going from Premier League, some Premier League midweek games come into effect during December. You have to deal with that, and how Maresca deals with that is going to be, of course, I think, a big concern. So let me know your thoughts. I mean, what would you do about the weekend? Are you content with Dewsbury Hall or Cassidy or Chukwuemeka coming in? Or do you think we really do need at least Caicedo starting this game? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. But that is it for today's news show. Let me know your thoughts on everything I discussed in the comments below. Follow me across the socials, that's SonOfChelsea. And I will see you again very soon. All the best.